Hi, everybody. Dugras here with Dugras Reports. Today, we're going to be talking about a better way to determine point value in the world of travel. Or, in other words, people are always asking, when I use my points for travel rather than cash back, what kind of value am I getting? Well, the typical way we read about in the points and miles community is cents per point. In other words, someone might say, I take the price I've paid, divide it by the number of points I use, and that's how many cents per point I've gotten. But I have found that when you get into the higher levels, anything above 2-ish cents per point, especially for things like international business flights, that method of measurement starts to become more and more useless and more ludicrous as you go. For example, someone might say, I used 100,000 XYZ points to buy this international first class flight to Europe, and it would have cost $30,000, so I'm getting 30 cents per point. But would you have really paid that much money? I doubt it. So it's not a great comparison. Before we dive in on this particular YouTube channel, we talk about finding epic value, including, but not limited to, credit card rewards for the average American. Does that sound interesting to you? If it does, please subscribe to the channel and please click the thumbs up button. Let's dive in. Is there a better way to determine point value than cents per point? Well, what's better than cents per point? So my new patent pending method is this. The idea is to determine how much money I would have earned if I had pursued a cashback strategy instead of using points for travel. And I think the easiest way to demonstrate this is with the trip that I'm going to be taking to Europe with my family this summer in 2023. The idea is, instead of focusing on the redemption, focus on what we could have done instead if I was a cash back guy, if I was focusing on cash back. I think you'll see what I mean once I get going. So I'll start with my flight from Minneapolis to London. This was booked through Flying Blue. It started out as Air France, but it ended up on KLM because of a change. I'm going to have these high graphical quality interface devices called writing with markers on a large sheet of paper, because this idea came to me at like midnight one night and I just wrote most of it down all at once. So to get there, I transferred points to Flying Blue from two places, Amex and Capital One. With Amex, I took 165,000 Amex points with a 25% transfer bonus and moved it over to Flying Blue, which got me 206,250 Flying Blue points. Now, bear in mind, this is my whole family, so this is 4 people. Amex points now, for me personally, can be cashed out at 1 cent per point. That's because the American Express Business Platinum Card, if you also have an American Express Business checking account, you can just move it over there at a 1 cent per point ratio. I am going to admit I'm going to kind of take the joy out of free travel in this video, so if that bothers you, you might want to shut it off. But we know for the rest of this video that I can cash out Amex points for 1 cent each. And really, because Amex is giving sign-up bonuses out kind of like candy, even if you had a cashback strategy, it's not a terrible strategy. So if I had cashed out those Amex points, it would have been $1,650. In a similar manner, I used some Capital One points. I used 62,000 Capital One points on my Venture X with a 20% transfer bonus. I believe that was like September of last year, which got me 74,400. And these two put together got me enough to fly my family of 4 in business class on Flying Blue from Minneapolis to London. Note, you can't cash these out. You can't cash out Flying Blue points directly. So I thought, what's the fairest way to value it? Well, if I had earned these points on something like my Amex business card, it would have been similar. So I'm going to say, just for the purposes, if I had earned these points on Chase, Citi, etc., I could have cashed out at 1 cent each, and that would have been $620. So here's if I had been a cash back rewards guy instead of a points rewards guy, what I would have walked away with. That comes to $2,270 when you add these two things together. To get from Göteborg, Sweden, over to Minneapolis on the way home, I used Virgin Atlantic to book through Flying Blue. So I booked Flying Blue, like Air France, using Virgin Atlantic. Ironically, they ended up changing the flight and it got switched to Delta, so even better. But so I took 270,000 Amex points there, transferred it with 30% bonus over to Virgin Atlantic, 351,000 Virgin Atlantic points. If I'd cashed that instead, I would have walked away with $27,000, $2,700. I'm probably going to get points and dollars mixed up in this video. I'm probably going to add zeros. So always go off of what's in writing, not what comes out of my mouth. That's $2,700. All right, so international flights, taxes, and fees. This is really easy. It was this much per person times 4, came out to this much for both flights put together. The easy thing about cash is cash is cash. You don't have to do any sort of conversion, but it needs to be included. One of the things we're going to be doing over in the United Kingdom, actually in Wales, is staying in a cottages.com cottage for 4 nights. And I booked that via Wyndham. I won't go into a lot of details here, but Wyndham partners with both Vacasa on the US side and cottages.com on the British side, although they're in a few other European countries also. This is sort of like Vrbo. It's basically vacation rentals. And the way it works out is that you pay 13,500 Wyndham points per bedroom per night if you have any of the Wyndham credit cards. I have the Wyndham business card. It's 15,000 per night if you don't. So basically, this was a 2-bedroom cottage. So all I had to do was take 2 bedrooms times 4 nights. That's 108,000. I earned these Wyndham points at 8x each. None of this was a sign-up bonus. I did that by buying things at gas stations. And no, I don't spend $13,500 a year at gas stations. Some of it was manufactured spending, buying gift cards. But in order to get that many points, I had to spend or run through my credit card $13,500 at that 8x that the Wyndham Earners business card earns at gas stations. So my thought is, if I had been a cashback guy, I could have earned 3% on my gas station spending or MSing. I know there's a few gas cards that get 4%, but those aren't really mainline. I'm thinking of the fee-free ones, or the ones you might have anyway. Like there's a PNC card that does. The Wells Fargo card used to be called the Propel. Can't remember what it's called now. 3% back on gas. I already have the Citi card, which gets 3% back on gas, so I could have used that, the Premier. But anyway, take this amount of spending at 3%, it would have been $405. That's $405. Next up, we're staying at a Hilton in London. 4 nights right in downtown London. You'll see the famous Tower Bridge here. This kind of yellowish and brown building is called the Hilton Tower Bridge. It's not a real fancy Hilton, but it's perfectly nice. And man, look at that location. It takes about 5 to 7 minutes to walk to Tower Bridge. There's the Tower of London right there. Can't beat the location. So to get that, I am doing 4 days. It's 558,000 points, which seems like a lot, and it is, but bear in mind, those are Hilton points. And that's for 2 rooms because we need a room for my wife and I and an adjoining room for our 2 kids. So to get there, I took 137,000 Amex points back when there was a transfer bonus. They normally transfer 1 to 2. There was a 30% transfer bonus, so they transferred at 1 to 2.6. And that got me 356,200 Hilton points. If I'd cashed that out instead, I would have had $1,370. Now, the other 201,800 Hilton points I already had, and that was just from a bunch of stuff. A little bit left for my sign-up bonus, some from paid stays, some from like when a family member comes to visit and I bought a Hilton for them and they reimbursed me. So it's just a mixture of a lot of stuff. You can't cash out Hilton points. So I really debated how to value these. But after thinking it over, I thought the fairest thing to do was just use the same ratio that I used here. Let's say I had used Amex points with that 2.6 bonus, it would have come out to $776. So to stay at that Hilton, we're talking a little over $2,000. And again, that might seem like a lot, $500 per night, but bear in mind that's 2 rooms and that is right in downtown London. So that comes out to just a touch over $500 per night for those 2 rooms, or a touch over $250 per night. I checked the cash prices just recently, and for middle of the summer, it's running around 325 US dollars. So it was still a pretty decent deal if you look at it this way. Not tremendous on cents per point, but hey, it gets us exactly what we want. Don't judge me. Next up, we're also going to have a stop at Göteborg, Sweden, and we'll be using a Nordic Choice hotel. I just heard a frequent miler, they're renaming this Strawberry Hotels, but it's still part of Choice Hotels. The general line of thinking I hear in podcasts and things is that the Choice Hotels in the US are kind of budgety, but in the Nordic countries, they're a lot nicer. So we'll be staying at a place called Hotel Odin right downtown in the city we're in. And one unique thing they do is, in addition to free breakfast, you also get a free light evening buffet. Now, I'm hoping it's enough to satisfy us and make a meal there for at least 2 of our 3 nights to save a little bit of money. But let's check out the value here, and I think it's pretty impressive. So I got this. It was 3 days. It's 10,000 points per room, and I've got 2 rooms. So that's 20,000 per night total, and take that times 3 days. That's 60,000 Choice points. But bear in mind, City transfers to Choice 1 to 2. So I really only had to use 30,000 City points. City points, when you have the Premier or Prestige, you can cash them out, 1 cent each. So that would have been $300. So 3 nights right in a downtown Nordic city with free breakfast, free supper, 2 rooms, $300. That's like $50 a night if my math is correct. Not bad. All right, and then British Airways, we have a repositioning flight within Europe flying from England over to Sweden. And this is what they call European business or something. It's not the fancy business class. It's basically like, 2 seats with the middle removed. But it still wasn't very expensive. It was 444,000 points and $4 in fees. So if I had cashed that out, it came from Chase. We know Chase points can always be cashed out for a penny each. That would have been $444. And that's, again, for 4 people. So $111 each for a repositioning flight, about a 3-hour flight. In business, even if it's kind of lame business, that's still pretty good. And then miscellaneous. So I just wrote down some things I think we'll be spending money on. I wrote down Park and Ride Hyatt because we're probably going to drive to Minneapolis the night before. I might stay in a Hyatt Category 1, which is only 5,000 points. I could have cashed out $50 for the same amount of Chase points. I'm probably going to pay $50 either for the Park and Ride or for an Uber driver to get me there. I estimated this much for meals out, tolls, subways, attractions, rental cars. These are just my estimates. I'm not really sure, but I estimate a total of $1,750. So let's go to the total. And here I've written down all the different things. And when you add them all together, we've got our flights to Europe. We've got coming home to Minneapolis. We've got our international taxes and fees. We've got the Wyndham stay that is at cottages.com, the Hilton in downtown London, the City transfer to Choice. We've got the Chase for British Airways repositioning flight, and the miscellaneous. Put them all together. Drum roll, please. $11,274. Now, the point I'm trying to get at here is basically I have functionally made a choice. I have chosen to fly my family of 4 to England and Sweden this summer for about 12 days for free, because even the taxes and fees and the miscellaneous is coming out of savings that I've gotten from cashback bonuses, bank account bonuses, those kind of things. But if I had said no travel, we're just staying home and I'm going to pursue a somewhat aggressive cashback strategy, it's reasonable. I mean, it's very doable. I've proved it here that I could have walked away with $11,000 if I'd taken the cash instead. So instead of focusing on cents per point, I'm saying this is the opportunity cost. I've given up a chance at $11,000 of cash back to take my family to England. Now, I still think it's worthwhile. And especially when you think, we're flying there in business class, back in business class. I think um, it worked out to like $12,000 per person if we'd used the cash point, which of course we never would have paid, but that alone would have been like $48,000. So I'm not giving up nearly as much as if I was just, some guy who wrote a check or used my debit card. But I'm still giving up something. And I think that's always important to remember. So if you want to use this kind of method too to figure things out, the only thing I would ask is that you credit me and reference this video in the description box or pinned comment or something like that if you're a fellow creator. Just a couple things that kind of caught my mind here when you're just looking at really good value in general. Obviously, the flights are what they are. They're going to be expensive. The taxes are expensive. These two green ones here are really good value. So 4 nights in a 2-bedroom cabin, I'm only giving up $405. So that is one where the ratio of value in a cash back strategy to a travel strategy is insanely skewed. Same thing with these choice hotels in Scandinavia, insanely skewed. So I think, if I'm thinking as a frugal budget traveler, those are the kind of things I'm going to want to focus in the future. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying my family's never going to fly in business class after this year. In fact, we'll probably get hooked on it. But if I had done Vacasa in America instead of cottages.com in England, or if I'd taken economy flights instead, you could kind of craft a value-based travel strategy by using this sort of thing and saying, what are some situations where I'm getting so much value on the points and miles side relative to the cash back side for a very small cash back price. Again, I'm not saying these flights aren't high value, but we've got we've got $6,000 tied up here in cash back sacrifice that could have just taken as cash back, flown economy, and still used these things for tremendous value. So these are just some thoughts I had. A new way, a different way to think about value. Before I let you go, I will mention briefly, I got this nifty new microphone. So if things sound better, worse, or about the same, let me know. And I am a YouTuber now because I have a microphone. It's official, guys. As always, please put a comment down below if you'd like to share anything. If you have a question, I'll try my best to answer personally. Please subscribe, click thumbs up, and as always, may your spending be frugal and may your points be plenteous. Thanks for watching.